Hello, folks. This is Kevin from Good Day, Good Prayers. I hope that you're having a great day. Today we're going to talk about a trade. When you're talking about baseball or football or some of the other sports, there's always a trade that can take place. And today we're going to talk about a trade, but it's not going to be a sport. Today we're going to talk about a trade that could take place between Canada and the United States. President Trump is wanting to cut the amount of money that the United States sends to Canada to help support Canada, because Canada doesn't seem to be able to get off of the snide to help itself. One of the problems that Canada has is that Ottawa is just too doggone liberal. And with liberalism, unfortunately, comes stupid decisions, which ultimately causes government to grow and ultimately causes the country to do the opposite of flourish. Well, the United States has 2 or 3 states up in the northern eastern part of the country, right up there by Ottawa. And I think that some of those states would think that it would be great to secede from the U.S. And you've got Alberta and Saskatchewan and 1 or 2 other provinces out west that would like to be able to secede from Canada. Now, the interesting thing is that the eastern states here in the U.S. are mostly liberal, and the western provinces in Canada are pretty much conservative. Well, the United States seems to be moving a little more conservative, and Ottawa seems to be wanting to stay liberal. And so bringing in 3, maybe 4 of those small states that really want to remain liberal and giving them to Canada, and then taking 3 or 4 of the provinces that want to remain conservative. Now, I think that if they were to make a trade of this nature, this would give Ottawa an opportunity then to prove that they can make it without the United States. We make the swap, boom, boom. If you're living in Washington, or you're living in Oregon, or you're living in Wisconsin or Minnesota, or let's say California, and you decide that you want to be a part of the Canadian country, well, you can move over to one of these 3 or 4 states, or you can actually move up into Canada proper. You can seek citizenship up there. And this would make the United States a little bit more conservative. This would allow Ottawa to become a little bit more liberal. We already talked about the fact that Carney does not want to trade with the United States. He wants to find other countries to trade with. And the United States wants to stop the fentanyl from coming in through the Canadian border into the United States. They're already in the process of sealing the border in Mexico. And what would really be nice about all of this is the fact that the United States would be able then to seal its border. The United States would then be able to save some money in having to support the Canadian government. And the United States, whenever there was any thing sold to the U.S., could decide where to place those tariffs. I imagine that with a trade of this nature, they would probably come up with a little bit better system whereby the tariffs would probably be reduced, especially if the border was sealed and the fentanyl was no longer coming across. That would probably really help both nations. We talked about this a few weeks ago, how that Carney, after being elected, decided he doesn't want to deal with the United States. He doesn't agree that there's any fentanyl coming across, and he just being completely belligerent. Now his side the other day in the election wound up getting some more people elected that are liberal, and the people in Saskatchewan and Alberta and a few of the places out west in Canada have had enough. Now Alberta is talking about leaving Canada, and Saskatchewan is beginning to follow suit, and a few other of the provinces out that way. I would say that if one or two more come, Alaska would suddenly then be connected to the United States, and the United States would be west and then go east beyond where the New England states are, and that would be the United States, and that whole eastern seaboard from Maine and Vermont, possibly New Hampshire, and possibly even Connecticut would wind up becoming a part of the Canadian nation. And then anybody from Wisconsin, Minnesota, California, wherever that wanted to become a Canadian could then go ahead and move over to the east and become a part of the Canadian experiment. I will tell you that Canada is not going to survive without the United States, and because of the fact that the Canadian people want to have a liberal government, they will never ever succeed as a nation. Most of your liberal-leaning countries wind up with a lot of serious financial issues. And the reason is because the people that get into government want to grow the government to the point that it becomes ridiculous. You see that in the United States with how large the federal government is today, how many new federal agencies there are. And now we have a conservative government here in the U.S., and this conservative government is trying to change the situation in the United States so that the United States will be able to survive for decades to come. And we're not going to be able to do that if we have to keep supporting Canada. We're not going to be able to do that if they keep bringing in liberal Congress people and eventually maybe even a liberal president. These things are going to be things that will only hurt the United States. It has hurt us before, and it'll continue. In our next video, we're going to discuss some of the things that some of the liberal presidents have done that have hurt the United States, and the things that have to happen to undo some of those things. This is Kevin from Good Day, Good Prayers. I hope that you will take the time to give us a thumbs up, that you will take the time to subscribe to this channel and also to our DSR Chats channel. But most of all, you have a good day. Good day.